Hey guys, so this is gonna be the last video in my evolution simulator series, simply because I've realized that creating something like this or creating an evolution simulator that is more complex and more interesting would take a significant amount of time. It is a significant undertaking, and I've lost interest, to be honest. So I've gained interest elsewhere. I'm planning on creating a bunch of tutorials on Godot, the game engine. So I just don't think I'll have more time to work on this evolution simulator. But I did work on it a little bit more, actually quite a bit more than what you've seen in my previous videos. So I will show you guys the new features, and then I'll put the code on GitHub if anybody wants to take it on and mess with it. So we, in the last video, stopped at iteration 4. A couple of iterations I've had since then, and I've done quite a few things, as you can see. Let's launch it and I'll show you. Okay, so the GUI, you guys have already seen this, where you can randomly spawn creatures. So let me zoom out a little and pan it right there. Let's spawn some creatures with a mass of 2, radius of 2, a movement force of 1, and we'll create 5 of them. There they are, they spawn, they're moving around randomly, but you've already seen that. What's new in this iteration, or in this video, is you can create a single creature at a time by clicking. So let's create a creature with a mass of 4, a radius of, I don't know, 5, so a big one, and a movement force of just 1. And then we're going to place one here and one there. One other thing I want to show you guys is that the small creatures move away from the big ones. So watch, that little creature is going to, see, it turned around when it got close to that big creature. And the way I did this is actually very simple. I'm showing you the smaller creature as the blue circle and the bigger creatures as the red circles. Now, the first thing that you do is you iterate through all of the bigger creatures that are surrounding you, and then you calculate a vector going from the big creature to the small creature. So you will calculate these vectors. And then you will take the sum of those vectors. So that would produce this blue vector over here. And you would simply move the smaller creature by that blue vector. Anyways, back to showing you the new features. And big creatures, when they collide with smaller creatures, they eat them. So in other words, the smaller creature will disappear, and the bigger creature will gain energy proportional to the mass of the smaller creature. Okay, you just escape to get out of this. You've seen the time scale where you can speed up time. Let's add a few more creatures because they all died out there for us. You've seen that already. We can randomly create food, so we want to create 5 food every 3 seconds. And you can also paint food. This is new now. So you can just, the icon is a chicken. So you can just, rightfully so, you can just go ahead and paint. Press escape to get out of that. You can also change the bounds of the map. And then there's some statistics. So this shows you the statistics for things like the average mass of the creatures that are alive, their average radius, their average move force. And the food density tells you how much of the world space is filled with food. So right now about 2.5% of the world's space is filled with food. You can also select a single creature. If it will work, I guess it's a little buggy. You select a single creature and it shows you the stats just for that creature. So its mass, radius, movement force, number of creatures killed. Also, these are fun little stats. The number of creatures that this creature has killed, meaning eaten, and the number of children that this creature has spawned. So this creature spawned 3 children. So that's basically it. You just mess with all of these parameters, like where you place the food, right? How much food you place, what type of creatures you create. Like, let's create a couple of fast creatures. We'll give him let's see, we'll give him a low mass, so a mass of 2, a movement force of 4, a radius of 3, I guess. We'll create a bunch of them so they're a little faster moving. And we want to see which one of the creatures will thrive and which one of them will die out. And you can get an idea of what's thriving by looking at the statistics here. This can be expanded upon in many, many ways. You can create, let's look at some of the ideas I had planned. You can basically print a history of the stats at various points in the simulation, and you can print out graphs of how the creatures in the world changed over time. So you can see how the average mass, average radius and stuff changed over time. Additionally, you can allow the player to paint different regions, so with different properties like food spawn rate, friction, etc. So in theory, you could see different regions having different types of creatures, and then you can watch what happens when a creature crosses into another region. Will it take over or will it go extinct? So I think this is a good place for me to stop this project because, as I mentioned earlier, I have gained interest in other projects. And I think this is a somewhat complete little project. So I'll upload this on GitHub and you guys can mess around with it. For those who are interested, some under the hood changes that I've also made is I am now using physics for the movement. Before I was just moving their XY positions. Now I apply a force and they move. This gives me a lot of additional things, like they can bounce off each other and such. Also, now replication costs energy. Before it was free. Now you must accumulate a certain number of energy before you can replicate. And remember, energy comes from consuming food. I added a menu, so if you press escape, pops up a little menu. Right now it only has one option, but you can add more. Press escape again to get out of the menu. GUI changes, I showed all of those to you guys. And I told you that when a bigger creature collides with a smaller creature, it eats it. And this is this is clearly me just typing away. I don't know why I wrote that. I guess to test how loud my keyboard was. I was hoping it isn't too loud because it's placed right next to the mic. Okay, so that's it for this evolution simulator project. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope someone will take over this and create something super cool. I hope to see you guys in another one of my videos, in particular the future Godot Game Engine videos that I'll be creating. Bye-bye.